Well, fans are going to be really happy about this, or possibly not so happy about this, but it looks like we are going to be getting a new Hulk in the MCU. And no, this is not Bruce Banner. It doesn't seem like they are recasting the role for Bruce Banner / the Hulk in the MCU. However, I do believe that this is possibly the first step in getting rid of Bruce Banner's Hulk in the MCU. The new Hulk that we are about to get, according to this new report that we'll dive into, is Amadeus Cho, who has a really interesting and intricate story in Marvel Comics, but he has actually already kind of been set up in the MCU. In fact, many of you might know this, but he was set up in Avengers Age of Ultron. And there was even a leak that came out a while ago that said somebody saw the test screenings for Captain America Brave New World and said that Amadeus Cho is in the movie. Which, if you think about, it's actually quite interesting because Captain America Brave New World is going to be talking about super soldier serums and more Hulks showing up like Red Hulk. Plus, if there are still some plans out there somewhere in Phase 6 of the MCU to do somewhat of a World War Hulk storyline, this Hulk, Amadeus Cho's Hulk, would just be another one to throw in there. But let's talk about the new report, how Avengers Age of Ultron set up this character, and how this character might take over Bruce Banner's Hulk in the new MCU moving forward after Avengers Secret Wars. This report is coming from insider Daniel RPK, who recently has had a very great track record with scoops, and he states, Logan Kim from Ghostbusters Afterlife and Frozen Empire, who plays Podcast, has been cast as Amadeus Cho in the MCU. Now, some of you right away might be thinking, well, isn't he too young to play this character? Well, the internet says that he is 17 years old, and Amadeus Cho in the comics is only 19 years old, and he's a Korean American genius, one of the smartest people on Earth. And his Hulk is quite different than Bruce Banner's Hulk, which may be what the MCU needs right now. I think Marvel Studios kind of put Hulk into a corner that they're trying to figure out how to get him out of right now. They thought that Professor Hulk was a really cool idea, and at first, yeah, it was pretty cool, but really quickly, a lot of people really missed the Savage Hulk, myself included, and they just really haven't figured out a way to bring that Hulk back. Now, of course, we're holding out hope that the Savage Hulk will be back at some point in time in Phase 6 of the MCU, maybe when he goes up against Doom, but we actually might be looking at the removal of the Hulk from Bruce Banner, which may be what he wants at some point in time in Phase 6. See, the difference between Bruce Banner and Amadeus Cho in the comics is that Bruce Banner fights with the Hulk inside of him. Bruce Banner considers the Hulk to be a burden, in which, yeah, if you got angry and turned into a giant monster who had control over your body, you could definitely understand how that could be a burden. But 19-year-old Amadeus Cho is very confident in being the Hulk and kind of happy about it. And although I'm not sure Marvel Studios was thinking about this character all the way back in Avengers Age of Ultron, they did do something that sets this character up, and that is they put his mother in the movie. Many of you probably remember Dr. Helen Cho. Dr. Helen Cho in the MCU is a world-renowned geneticist and the leader of the U-Gen research group. And she was actually called to help the Avengers with her research and technology in the war against Hydra. But then ultimately in Age of Ultron, she got put under Ultron's control to try and help him create the perfect body for him, which ended up becoming Vision. Once the Scarlet Witch realized what was happening, she set Helen Cho free. And it's actually because of Helen Cho's sabotage that Ultron ultimately didn't get in Vision's body. Now, some people think that she died because Ultron blasted her, but she didn't. She lived. Captain America came to her aid in the movie, and then after, Cho was invited to work at the New Avengers compound after she fully recovered, and she is seen with Maria Hill. And her team was actually led by Eric Selvig. So currently, Amadeus Cho, a version of Hulk in the comics, his mother is currently in the MCU and has been working with the Avengers. Now, we don't know what's happened after Avengers Endgame, but this sets up her son to debut in the MCU really, really well, especially because she has worked with the Avengers. It wouldn't really be that hard for her son to have a connection with the Avengers and Bruce Banner's Hulk as well. In fact, they'll probably tie that in really well, maybe saying that the Hulk was his role model or Bruce Banner was his role model since they're both so smart. Now, Amadeus Cho has a pretty long backstory in the comics. Cho enters a competition, the Excello Soap Company's Brain Soap competition, making him the 7th smartest person in the world. he's about to become the 6th smartest person in the world, but the game's creator, Pythagoras Dupree, attempts to kill him to keep his spot at 6th smartest person in the world. However, everything didn't go to plan, and unfortunately, Cho's parents end up being killed. He ends up going on the run until he is eventually saved by the Hulk himself. Ever since then, he considers the Hulk a hero to him and actually a friend. Now, ultimately, after Secret Wars, the story in the comics, Cho becomes the Hulk because there's a nuclear meltdown. Bruce Banner takes in a lethal amount of radiation, and Amadeus Cho creates nanites that remove the Hulk from Bruce Banner's body, and he places it in his own body. Then Amadeus Cho becomes the Hulk, and I think something very similar is going to happen like this in the MCU, making Amadeus Cho the new Hulk and essentially retiring Bruce Banner's Hulk. I think a lot of people, myself included, think that Mark Ruffalo's time as the Hulk is nearing its end. In fact, I think we think that about most of the original Avengers cast right now. They've been playing the characters for a very long time, plus not to mention, after Secret Wars, there's supposed to be a soft reboot of the MCU, where reportedly they are going to start to recast Iron Man, Black Widow, Captain America, etc. But we do know that some characters are going to survive the reboot and the new multiverse, like Tom Holland's Spider-Man. Well, if this report from Daniel RPK ends up being true, and Amadeus Cho does come to the MCU and becomes the Hulk, then that means they are in actually kind of a sweet spot right now for him to get the Hulk's powers right at the end of Avengers Secret Wars. He can get the power of the Hulk, and he doesn't necessarily have to get the power of the Hulk by taking Bruce Banner's actual Hulk, but if he did do that, then that would give Bruce Banner a pretty easy out of kind of everything. He would finally be able to be in peace. He'd be able to retire, enjoy his life. But also at the same time, if they don't want to take that from him, they could simply have him take in just a ton of radiation in Avengers Secret Wars, and Amadeus Cho can simply help him absorb that radiation, and in turn, he becomes the Hulk alongside Bruce Banner. Then we'd have 2 Hulks, or maybe even 3 or 4 or 5, who knows? We have She-Hulk already, we have Scar, Hulk's son. Who knows if Red Hulk joins in the fight in Secret Wars, but we could potentially have a lot of Hulks there. Plus, not to mention, we're supposed to get a Young Avengers project. The introduction of Amadeus Cho makes him a perfect candidate for the Young Avengers team. It would give them a Hulk, a pretty great asset to have. But if Amadeus Cho does end up becoming the Hulk in Phase 6 of the MCU, or essentially before Avengers Secret Wars, before the soft reboot, I do believe he'll go on to be the new Hulk after the reboot, because I think Mark Ruffalo is done playing the Hulk after Avengers Secret Wars. I think we're going to get a lot of that. I think Chris Hemsworth will retire as Thor. Jeremy Renner will probably retire as Hawkeye. Anthony Mackie might retire as Sam Wilson. You get it. But if you want to do a different take on the Hulk in the new rebooted MCU, Amadeus Cho's version of the Hulk would be pretty cool to see. So I do think Mark Ruffalo's Bruce Banner / the Hulk is coming to its end. I do hope we get him raged out, Savage Hulk one more time at least before the end of his Hulk career. And I think we will. I believe we will before the end of Avengers Secret Wars. And I am looking forward to the future after Secret Wars, although it will be sad to see some of these characters go. But go ahead, let me know your thoughts about this in the comments down below. Does this excite you or not? Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below. Please don't forget to like this video and subscribe so you can stay up to date on all things with the MCU. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And as always, thank you all so much for watching. Woof woof.